Hey everybody, Bennett for the Bonehead podcast, and Epic is coming back. So normally we hit up Blood Bowl on this channel, and I know I've talked to you about Channel 2, and Channel 2 is going to be, well, Bonehead podcast Extra Time is going to be for stuff that's not Blood Bowl. Stuff like Legions Imperialis. Epic Warhammer 40,000 is coming back, and I tell you what, let's have a look at some toys and talk it through. So on the preview show today from Games Workshop, they showed this gorgeous piece of money. It's money. It's just money. So last week I did the Top 5 Friday, and the Top 5 Friday was my top 5 gaming goals. And number 5 on that list was Epic. Tiny 40k is what Epic is. If you kind of came up in Warhammer in the 90s, you'll probably know what Epic is. Epic is Titans and small space marines and tiny tanks and loads of dice and blast markers and explosions. The game was wicked, but it died off before we kind of had enough money and time to play it. And it's kind of ebbed and flowed, and there's some great 6mm stuff out there. Then Games Workshop brought Adeptus Titanicus back in a new scale, bigger scale, great game, insane models. Probably the nicest Games Workshop models that have ever been made. But the game was a little bit too Titanic in proportion. And I really just wanted loads of little tanks. I love tanks. Now we are getting tanks. So let's talk through the preview that happened today. This is a shot of the box. So they have basically talked through the fact that there is going to be a starter box, and the starter box is going to have this stuff in it. Now, from the looks of it, two Warhound Titans, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Lehman Russ tanks, 2 Malkadors, and 2, I can't remember what they're called, Sakarans, the medium heavy Space Marine tanks, 3 Predators, 4 Dreadnoughts, a billion Space Marines, and a whole bunch of Imperial Guard. Now, I'm using those terms flippantly. Imperial Guard are not in this box. This box is 2 armies. You've got the Space Marine side, and then you've got the Solaris side. So what the Imperial Guard used to be, Solar Auxilia. And the point of this box is that you can get it, and you can get then one big army of, you've got some Marines, you've got some Solar Auxilia, you've got some tank, wicked. Or you pick up the box and split it. One person gets Guard, one person gets Marines, and that's fantastic too. Now, this game is set solely in the Heresy, so we're not going to see Eldar. I'm still waiting on Eldar Titans for Titanicus, but I don't think that's going to happen. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen, which is such a shame. Although I imagine that in 6 years it will happen. Hey, I'm not going anywhere for 6 years. What we get now is pure Heresy, pure Marine on Marine action. And that's the beautiful thing about this. Very much like the Titanicus box set, you get your dudes, you paint your dudes, you convert your dudes, you paint your dudes to be whichever dudes you want those dudes to be duding. And then you fight them. So, this is the box. These are some of the models that have been shown. So you've got command squads. Let's talk about scale real quick. They are all the same scale as Adeptus Titanicus. So if you've got some AT stuff, you're good to go. You got some Titans. I would be surprised if you don't see Warlords in this at potentially like the big game scale. I think Reaver, if you've got a Reaver, you're good to go. I think you'll be fine with that. Warhound's definitely in this. The fact that Warhounds come in the starter box is a good sign that Titans are going to be supported in this game. I definitely haven't popped to Entoyment and booked myself a couple of Warhounds to get started. But what it means is the infantry is going to be the same scale. Your vehicles are going to be perfect for Adeptus Titanicus, and likewise also with Adeptus Imperialis. I don't know. The flying game, the stupid Games Workshop games. The flying game are where you have the 40k flyers. Like, it's cool, but it kind of was a bit of a flash in the pan. The Horus Heresy era machines in that will be good for this. They will be good for scale, and apparently they're going to get rules as well. So in the box set you get the command squads, and the bases, I guess, are something to talk about. There's 2 things here, really. You can see what they've done with some other games is have a model with a plug on the bottom of their foot, and it goes into the base. This is what they did with the first Epic stuff and the second Epic stuff. And it's what a lot of third party do. They kind of have like a round base, and when you have the bases, they've got round holes, and it fits in. It looks like they've gone a slightly different route with this, and they've gone with these little rocks between the feet. Actually, that's a clever way of doing it. It looks pretty cool, and you know what? That's fine too. The bases are of a thinner scale, a smaller scale to the standard Warhammer bases. So standard Warhammer bases are 4mm tall. These are low profile, and when we look at the Warhound Titans as well, we can see that those are also low profile bases. I think it's safe to assume that these are going to be 3mm high, probably including the terrain. Now, these all look like molded bases, which is brilliant, and I think the Warhound Titans also come on low profile bases. I love small scale gaming, so I'm very used to having low profile bases because it just looks dumb to have full size Games Workshop bases. I think 3mm is probably a really good basing size. 2mm, 2 to 3mm. 3mm with terrain and detail, 2mm flat is kind of where you want to be. And I imagine that's exactly what these are going to be. In fact, I'd probably bet they're going to be 2.5mm. But we got little flag boys, you got little command squads, you got tactical marines here. Now, it's interesting they went with Death Guard for this. I'm assuming that's just because it's the easiest, the easiest to paint and pick out the detail on. And it looks really cool. I mean, it's the heresy. This is now the point, and they talked about it in the preview where you can battle with a chapter. A company is here. Like, company of Space Marines is a unit, and that's pretty cool. So it means that you've got the flexibility to just be like, I want to paint up a bunch of Imperial Fists, because I'm going to go Imperial Fists. I'm going to go Imperial Fist. I love Imperial Fists, and yellow really pops at a small scale as well. You get some like grunge, and you get these bright yellow Knights of the Imperium running around. It's wicked. So you got Assault Marines as well. Again, very cool models. There's Contemptor Dreadnoughts. You get 4 Dreadnoughts. They got weapon choices on them. Looks to me like the arms are going to be separate. It doesn't look like the bodies do too much. I really hope the bodies are not swivel. When it comes to AT scale stuff, I've printed a bunch of it. You don't want it to be in too many pieces because these models are small. We're looking at 8mm scale basically. So your Space Marine is a centimeter tall. Your Dreadnoughts are 20mm tall, which means each individual body part being less than a centimeter is pretty egregious, I think would be the word I would use. Plasma Boys, you got support squads. The way this is all structured feels very much like Epic Armageddon. And I think that's what we're going to see here. We're going to see these units basically be tokens. And that's kind of how these small scale games work. You'd be like, right, I've got a support squad, they do this. I've got an assault squad, they do this. I've got a contemptor squad, they do this. I very much doubt that individual squads, individual bases will have too many different choices within them. Potentially like an upgrade every now and again, but line squads will be, hey, here's my support legionnaires. One of them's got a sword. That doesn't matter. They get 1 shot, 2 shot per base of dudes. That's the right way to do it with small scale gaming. It is Sakharan. So we've got 2 Sakharan tanks here. These, I imagine, will have alternate headpieces. If the guns are separate, that would be a little bit of a pain in the ass because Sakharan, you're looking at about 30 to 40 mil for the Sakharan bases, for the Sakharan tanks. So the guns on top, yeah, maybe they'll do separate guns. As long as the plugins aren't too tricky, then it'll be fine. But again, we've got some tanks. This is just my favorite. These are the boxiest Predators imaginable, and they are just exactly as boxy as they should be. This is the most epic picture that we've seen so far, because it looks like old Epic. Old Epic tanks were cast in metal. Just random bits of lead that they picked up off the ground, melted down, and turned into rough, chunky tanks. And this looks to be so similar to that. You know, I'm going to have to really brush up. And this is cool. I'm going to have to brush up on my Horus Heresy because I want to say this is a Diamos style tank. Looks like 1 chassis. Can't see anything different. I would be surprised if the guns were not on some kind of gimbal. And the turrets look to be swivelly. And I love that you got a little tank commander on there. That's an excellent little piece of extra detail. Okay, then we wander into the Solar Auxilia. This is the Imperial Guard, but of the before times in the Horus Heresy. The Solar Auxilia have got this weird kind of steampunk vibe to them. If you want to know more about the Solar Auxilia, you can just type in Solar Auxilia, I guess, or just look at some of the Forge World models they've got for it. They're kind of like pot helms, you know, but with cogs and stuff. They're halfway between Imperial Guard and Adeptus Mechanicus, I think is probably the best way to say. Anyway, you've got command squads, you've got the gun boys, the auxiliaries, you've got auxiliaries with flamers. I mean, the fact that we're looking at 8 mil tall guys, and you can obviously see that they're flamers, is brilliant. Now, you can see that the detail here, that these flamers are massively exaggerated. Even in 40k, the head of a flamer is not as big as the head of a man. Actually, that's not true. That's probably about right. But the way you sculpt and use small-scale models, whether you're doing boats or spaceships or tiny, tiny men in tanks, you've got to pick out what's important for people to be able to see. The heads of weapons, the heads of people are some of those things that are really good. And the way they painted this is excellent too, because you've just got silver, black, bit of gold for the flamer head, bit of red for the wire. That's a pop. That's the pop you need. As painting small-scale stuff is like a more extreme version of quick painting a Blood Bowl team. You know, you want a base color and you want to pick out the details. And that's it. And that's why I love small-scale gaming. It just looks better without any effort at all. You've got the shock troops with big axes, which is very cool. And you've got tiny sentinels. Now, these are heavy sentinels. I'm not sure I've seen the models for these before, but these are just sentinels that are up-armed, up-armored, and just very tanky. Not a lot to say about that. I love the old Sentinel. It's interesting. I think the style of this matches up with the newer Sentinel instead of the old one, which is, I guess, a bit of a branding move, but fine with that. And here we go. We've got more tanks. So the Lehman Russ. 4 of them in this box. You've got the Vanquisher. You've got the standard one. And this is the small tank dream that I'm looking for. Well, it's not entirely true. I want Baneblades. Baneblades and Shadow Swords. That's where I'm going to be. I am going to be the yellow boy with some Solar Auxilia in the way of big tanks. Big shooty tanks is exactly where I want to be with this game. And I love you got a little tank crew on the top here. Went to Tank Fest last week, saw a bunch of tanks driving around, and now I'm here looking. I've still got my sunburn, but now I'm looking at wallet burn on this screen. Malkador heavy tanks. I'm not a huge fan of the Malkador, but it's a useful tank, and I guess it was a kind of player in the Horus era. Sadly, I don't think we're going to see that Macarius, because I think that's too new. I don't think the Macarius served in the Horus Heresy, but that is a chef's kiss tank. And then you got your Warlord, your Warhound boys from Adeptus Titanicus. They are the same models. They are the same scale. These ones have got additional arms, plastic arms, add-ons for the Warhounds, and they've got the low-profile bases that we talked about earlier. And again, I think 2.5 to 3 mil is going to be where these bases are. So if I've got a couple of Warhounds on the way, and when I move house, I'll probably find my other ones, which is pretty cool. Oh, they're under the storage. Found them. It's going to be interesting. The cool thing is, I'm assuming that the diameter of the bases are going to be the same for Adeptus Titanicus as they are Imperialis. So even if you've got some low-profile Warhounds, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the worst thing in the world. And actually, I know what the AT crew are like, the Adeptus Titanicus crew. Any opportunity to rebase and make your... Well, actually, any opportunity to get more Titans, I think is going to inspire some AT people to get on that. So there's the book with pretty stock photo of, I think, Forge World stuff. And here we're back to the box. So Epic is back. Obviously, I'm outrageously excited. We heard this rumor. I didn't dare believe this rumor, but it is coming. So I wanted to put this on our main channel because I haven't really started channel 2 yet, but Bonehead Podcast Extra Time is where I will track everything for Legions Imperialis, which I will now refer to as Imperialis. Aeronautica Imperialis, that's the flipping game. Anyway, that is where I will put all of my future videos for this. I will put a post on the main channel when I do a video for channel 2. And I mean, over the next few months, please look, because we're going to have some Mantic Armada on there, we're going to have some Old World on there, and we are definitely going to have some epic bits on there, even if at the moment all we can do is really print up some terrain. And at some point I'll be moving the Necromunda and probably a bit of Engage into there as well. So that's going to be kind of for general wargaming stuff. The standard channel will be Blood Bowl, but whew, I'm looking forward to some epic. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if you are even slightly excited about this. Because look at the little men. In fact, before we go, we need to count the little men. We've got 2 command squads. We've got some Terminators, the Cataphract armor. We've got 2 squads of Terminators. You've got 2 looks like Devastator squads there with your missile, with the shoulder-mounted missiles. Yeah, 2 support squad, 1, 2, 3, 4 tactical, 5, 6, 7, 8 tactical. So basically 8 tactical, 2 termies, 2 assault, 2 dev, 2 support, 2 command. I think we can pretty much map out that that's what a sprue is going to contain. A command, 4 tactical, an assault, a support, a devastator, and a terminator, probably. And I believe all of this is going to be plastic with textured bases provided. Interesting, the tanks not having bases. I think this is probably the right way to do it. Oh, but it's going to be really tempting to not put your tanks on bases because there's just something about it. I might do bases. Anyway, let me know if you're excited about this, and I'm going to wrap up and go print things probably. Anyway, have a great day. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl and apparently Games Workshop content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.